And welcome into our first state-only challenge here on Madden 24. As you can see, the graphic behind me shows all the teams we have done prior to, with us wrapping up Madden 23 with a Louisiana-only challenge. And that one was a lot more difficult than expected. Though we did finally win the Super Bowl, Season 4 was the second worst in terms of how long it took us to win that Super Bowl, with the record matching with a 12-4-1 record. As we start a new one today, voted on by you guys, we'll be starting the Virginia's States Only Challenge, as obviously there's Virginia and West Virginia. Now when it comes to the team we'll be using, there's obviously not a team from the Virginias in the NFL, but there is a team that's pretty close, and if I remember correctly, their actual facility and where like the corporate headquarters, if you will, is actually in one of the Virginias, though off the top of my head, I can't remember which. And in very good fashion, as we did just finish the Commanders Replacement Squad series on Madden 23, they are the team that is the closest. Washington is actually Washington, D.C., which that was included in the name. So we'll be using the Commanders here, though it's just going to be their uniforms and their stadiums. It's going to be a fantasy draft of all Virginia's only players. And our head coach will be none other than the Virginia Tech legend and NFL legend in Michael Vick. This is the closest face I could find to be somewhat similar to him. Best we could do. Now, when it comes to offensive style, defensive style, it's going to depend on the players that we pick up. So let's pick up those players. Though one quick side note before we do that. Here's the setup. It's playing on All Pro because this is primarily a 98% sim series. If you haven't watched these before, I don't play much. Occasionally I will jump in, take charge of like a 2-minute offense, or make us go for it on like a 4th and 3, something like that. But primarily it's the CPU versus CPU, and All Pro is where that is kind of best designed to work properly. So that is what we're going to run in terms of skill, difficulty, simulation, 8-minute quarters. One other thing that we will be changing is we will be turning off pre-existing injuries. That way we're able to use all available players and it doesn't kind of just make things annoying. So besides that, all the other injuries and fatigue, those are all going to be on. Back to actually getting the players. Now again, if you're new, haven't watched this series before, we can't select just any of the Virginia's players to start off with. We actually have to pick all available players from one specific school first. And to help us do that, let's pop up the spinning wheel. Now these were all of the D1, the FBS schools. There are FCS schools that we very well might be getting players from, but we're going to primarily focus on the FBS schools just to make things a little bit more interesting, like if we get Liberty and have to draft all Liberty players before Virginia or Virginia Tech, the big name schools, West Virginia, because that might mean we miss out on some of the big name talent, just make things a little bit more difficult. So let's spin this wheel and find out who we get to choose from first. And as this wheel gets going, I honestly have no idea what team I would prefer to start off with, but it will be Liberty, as I had just used them as an example. I guess Google heard me. So we'll be starting with only Liberty players first. And as I pull up this list, there are only 4 current Liberty players in the NFL. This is kind of the best updated list I have been able to find and have used it for all of my state-only challenges. So these will be the 4 players we will need to try to go after first. Now, if they're not available, then that means we could go after anyone from any of the Virginias. And funnily enough, after checking all the options, Johnson wasn't available at left end, right end, outside linebacker. The corner in low was also not available. And the receiver, Douglas, also not available. So that leaves only one person for us to have to pick up before we could go after anyone. And that's going to be Malik Willis. So the first selection for us, and we'll only go through 5 and then jump in to the actual start after I build the rest of the team. So the first pick will be Malik Willis, 6'1", 219, 24 years old, a scrambler archetype. He has good throw power, needs to work on the accuracies, but he's a threat to run the ball. So we'll see if we get any other Virginia's quarterbacks, but for now, we at least have one on roster. Now just going BPA, we have a couple options and they're very close in terms of their overall, if you will, their ranking. There is Kendall Fuller if we want to go cornerback. He played at Virginia Tech. Just a little bit down the line, there's Tremaine Edmonds, also out of Tech. And I'm not sure which one I'd want to go with. They're both 87 overalls, though I feel like Edmonds could be pretty good for us in the middle. We'll see if Kendall Fuller is still available, but our second pick, I think we are going to go with the linebacker as star Dev Edmonds. He could really help us out both in coverage and stopping the run. He's a well-balanced dude with a lot of athleticism. That was a problem in the last series with Louisiana, that we struggled across the middle. So that's going to be our second pick, addressing the middle of this defense with Tremaine Edmonds. Now, unfortunately, that does mean that we are missing out on the corner. So we have to look elsewhere for our third pick. And I think it would be smart here to go with a starting quarterback, Geno Smith. The bounce back season last year was fantastic, though he is still on the older side, 32 years old. But he might give us a little bit of time, maybe see if we could develop Malik. I don't know. But he has the better accuracies. Throw power not as good, but the speed also still there. If we want to have a great beginning to this series, we need a great quarterback. And right now, that's Geno Smith. So he's going to come in with our third pick. Now we need to address the offensive line because we haven't made a pick yet. So out of Virginia Tech, let's go with Wyatt Teller, an 86 overall, one of the best remaining offensive linemen. Plus, he's a superstar, 28 years old. He should be good for pretty much the entirety of this series. He's focused more towards run blocking, though still pretty well balanced. I think he'll be a solid addition for us, will be the best addition for us on the offensive line. So let's bring in Teller to at least solidify one spot up front. And since we missed on the earlier corner, let's go with Rasul Douglas. He's 28 years old, but a star dev. He's the highest rated possible corner, and he's well balanced. Wish he had a little bit more speed, but he will be our last pick here. I'm going to go ahead, get through the remainder of this fantasy draft, and then I'll show you the full roster, and we'll get into some action. So Rasul Douglas is pick number 5. Now let's jump forward. And I'll admit, this team is looking a little bit strange, but let's go through it. We have 4 total players, 81 and up, most of which are, at least some of which, were not involved in the first couple selections that we went through. Geno Smith will be our starting quarterback at an 81 overall, with Willis backing up at a 67. We also have Kurt Benkert just as a backup in case of injury, I suppose. Starting running back will be Khalil Herbert, a 79 overall, backing him up. We have Blackshear, Cannon, and Smallwood. We, however, don't have a fullback, so one of those running backs probably going to play fullback. At receiver, we don't have a lot of high overalls. Pascal is 74. Zacchaeus, I honestly have messed this name up so many times, I probably should look it up before the next one. 73 overall, we have Ford at a 69, as well as Wicks, who is a rookie, so I do want to get him out there. We also have another rookie in Douglas, so we want to probably favor some of these young guys, and we also have Joe Reed to round out the receiving corps. At tight end, we have Mo Alley Cox, Logan Thomas, and Dalton Keene. No real young players here. I guess technically Keene is 24, but he's not a rookie. He's actually in his 4th season. At left tackle, we have Dwayne Brown getting the start at 38 years old. The lowest rated offensive lineman and a rookie at left guard is Sal Derveri, maybe pronouncing that correctly. We also have Steiny to back up. They're the same overall, but again, we're going to favor the younger guys. At center, we moved over from the guard spot, Glowinski. Hopefully he can do fairly well for us, also 31 years old. Wyatt Teller, our highest rated offensive lineman, 28 years old at 86 overall. And then right tackle, Morgan Moses, 79. So all in all, the starting line isn't bad overall, but most of them are fairly up there in age. And that's what a lot of our starters are. As we go over to the defensive side, Vinny Curry, a 35-year-old, 71 overall, starting at left end. At right end, Brent Urban. So both of our starters there are at their mid-30s, 32 to 35. We have some guys underneath them, but none that are particularly promising, if we're being honest. Tim Settle starts at DT, a 26-year-old, so, not awful there, 71 overall. And then a couple guys beneath them, Mike Green, at least only in his 2nd year. Maybe he could develop. At linebacker, we are going to have Divine Diablo getting the start. And moving from safety, Anthony Harris, because we just didn't have anyone else to put there. Middle linebacker, Tremaine Edmonds. Backing him up is Kwiatkowski. Right outside backer is going to be Kaiser White. We also moved over Carl Joseph from safety to be another backup linebacker for us. Basically took the slowest safeties. At corner, we do have a lot of guys here, but the top, pretty much all of them are on the older side. There's not a lot of speed here at corner either. Douglas, Fuller, and Facey Son will probably be the starters. We might play with a little bit hot hand since there's not much separating a lot of these guys. At free safety, we do have Juwan Thornhill, who will be getting the start with a backup of Joey Blunt. Strong safety, Terrell Edmonds. And then we also have another backup of the same overall, but much older. So again, favoring the younger in McLeod. Kicker, we have Joey Sly. And at punter, we have kicker Brian Johnson, because I could not find a kicker to possibly use. So that is what we have. We do have all of our normal picks, which we'll talk about the draft in a second. And here is the practice squad. Obviously, Madden filling the last few spots with guys who didn't play at a Virginia school, but it is what it is. As for our first possible draft, again, can only bring in guys who played at any of the Virginia's schools. There's honestly not a lot for how many holes I expect us to have. There are 13 total, with most of them being potential undrafted. At the top, we do have a running back in Clifton Richards out of West Virginia, 5'10", 212, around 1 to 2 projection. Then a whole lot of potential undrafteds until we get down to a corner in Clyde Logan. Now, again, we had a lot of older corners without a lot of speed, though we do know that Logan only has D-zone coverage, so not looking all too promising to be an immediate starter. There's also a day 3 safety in Grant Fowler out of West Virginia, 6'2", 207. So maybe some of these guys pan out, maybe they don't, and maybe we need to just look for trades depending on how those guys pan out. When we get to about the midpoint of the season, we could kind of judge from there. But that is the team. However, overalls, ages don't always show or dictate how players are going to play. We've had some guys with very low overalls play very well, and really high overalls play really poorly. Off the top of my head, I think of the Commanders replacement squad with Shaka Toney, who started as like a 64 overall, was amazing for us. And then in the Louisiana State-only challenge, Joe Burrow, a 97 overall quarterback, played awful for about 3.5 seasons. So it's all really the field that will show how good these players are. So why not? Let's actually head onto the field and get into some action. And we'll be getting started on defense, as we're going to be playing against Aaron Rodgers and this Arizona Cardinals team, as it starts with a run right down the middle. ETN breaks off 9 yards, play 1. This is a defensive line I am highly concerned about. We'll see how well they do throughout the season and what changes we may or may not be able to do, as it's 2 straight run plays, ETN 16 yards in total. But also, I'd love to hear what you guys think about how this series now looks, being in the new Madden and on the newest game console. Also weird seeing Rodgers wearing 8. That just looks wrong to me. Don't know why, it just does. As will be a handoff right down the middle once again. ETN breaks to that bottom side, picking up the first down. I will say the player models look a lot better in-game than they do just in the menus. For some reason, they look funny to me. I don't know. 1st and 10. Rodgers up top will not get the reception to his receiver, knocked out by McLeod. Though not exactly sure why he was out there, because he's supposed to be a backup. So might need to change some depth chart things, because Madden always likes changing those. A quick drop back pass, going up top, wide open receiver. Once again, some soft coverage, as one of our defensive linemen, Tim Ward, a bit shaken up. And as he gingerly heads on into the locker room, it'll be a 1st and 10 here for the Cardinals in ace formation. Handoff right down the middle once again. ETN met by, I'm pretty sure, every single one of the linebackers. Oh, it looks like they'll credit that one to Diablo. Now an empty set here for Rodgers. 2 up top, 3 down to the bottom, inside the 30. Sitting in the pocket, across the middle once again. That'll be an easy 1st down, and breaking a couple tackles inside the 15. I'm sorry if there's any Virginia college fans who are watching, but I don't imagine this one's going to go all too well, as they find their tight end right across the middle, picking up about a gain of 5. But just the current state of this roster, the amount of older veterans that we're relying on, I feel like this one can really blow up really quickly as Aaron Rodgers finds his first touchdown going to Chris Olave. This team might be stacked. But it's time for our offense to head out with Geno Smith at quarterback and see if we're able to bounce back from what our defense put us in. Decision making, aggressive. We'll see if that's the case and how often he chooses to scramble. But primarily the one I want running the ball is going to be the running back in Khalil Herbert. Though it's a play action, going up top, we're going to find one of the receivers. I want to say Pascal? No, Zacchaeus, Zachariah. I don't know. I'm going to learn his name eventually, as will I learn most of these players' names, though I do not promise I always will and pronounce them correctly. I try my best, though. Pass down to the bottom. Nice hands from number, was it 32? I'm hoping I just saw the number wrong because I don't believe a receiver should be wearing number 32. So we might need to take a double look at the depth chart, see where these numbers are going wrong, and the turf monster just absolutely destroyed our chance at a breakaway touchdown there. I thought that was for sure headed to the house. Instead, 1st and 10, Geno from the pocket across the middle, and a drop from Mo Alley-Cox. Oh, that linebacker seems to really think it was him who did the work, as we have a 2nd and 10 with a shotgun look. Herbert down the middle will pick up maybe 2 or 3, leaving us with 7 more needed here on 3rd down as we sit at our own 40. Hard count, no one jumps. Geno going up top and will find once again. Really should just look that up while we're sitting here. And while Google does its thing, we have a 1st down into plus territory for the first time this series. It's going to be a play action rollout, throwing it deep. Geno cannot hook up with his receiver. Was a decent throw though, just better play from the DB. And on 2nd and 10 will be another pass as they send the blitz, and it's going to be a fumble scooped up by Arizona, though we will at least tap him down. Ed Oliver recovers the fumble, and it will be the Cardinals headed back out. Well, definitely not how I wanted that drive to end, and I did Google it. Zacchaeus is how Google says, and I feel like that's how I've pronounced it some of the time. Either way, right now, Cardinals are moving 3rd and 3. Chris Olave picks up the 1st down as they're inside the red zone. We also head inside the 2nd quarter as Devontae Adams 10 yards. Yeah, this team is stacked as Etienne grabs another touchdown for the Cardinals, 14-0. How about on quicksand? Can we get this offense moving at all? 2-yard rush, Geno. 3rd and 5, a throwaway. So no. That's the problem I'm feeling like we're going to have with this team. It might be a lot more sim in season 1, as there's not a lot of good at least happening so far. But we definitely have some talent to try to develop, and I think that's going to be the focus, at least, of Season 1. As we finally get a tackle for loss there, they get 2 back, leaving 3rd and 10, a throwaway. So the defense bends massively, and then just allows the Cairo Santos field goal, 17-0. Can we get any amount of points here before the end of the first half? We do get 13 yards to Wicks, one of those young guys, again, trying to develop. Pascal gets some. He's wearing 4. And yeah, Isaiah Ford is wearing 32. So that is definitely going to have to change. Herbert just a gain of 1, as we do get at least into plus territory, though that does not last for long. 2nd and 9, which was the sack. 3rd and 15, we pick up 6. And it does not appear we're going to be getting any points here before half. Can we at least keep them from getting any more points? I mean, having Olave and Aaron Rodgers on the same team, that seems like a cheat code, though. A throwaway on 3rd down, they do punt it away. A sack isn't a great way to start. We have 2 timeouts. Why not jump out here with this team? I'm also going to have to try to get used to the new menus. Playing on the last gen for so long, it was the same thing every time, as there's gonna be another sack. This time Nick Bosa credited with half Ed Oliver also there. Yeah, the line did not hold up very well, as we're gonna have Zacchaeus going deep. Try to find him on the run. No, Geno overthrows. Yeah, this team is struggling right now. Though that's partially just expected, as we were going over the roster. I definitely didn't think this was going to be a tremendous year 1. Although I was kind of hoping for a little bit of a surprise, like the Pacific Northwest that we did in Madden 23. That one really surprised. As I've already mentioned, winning that one in season 1 was big. As we have the first down there, and then we get sacked Nick Bosa with another. 2nd and 15, only a 1-yard rush. 3rd and 13, we pick up 8, have a 4th and 5. And these are definitely going to be one of those moments where I'm going to come out here with this offense to try to help us convert, keep things alive, keep things a little bit more interesting as we have to roll out, avoid the sack. Can we find the corner? Gino will pick up the first down for us, somehow outrunning, honestly, the entirety of the defensive line. Let's see if we have enough time to send Pascal all the way to that back corner. Though they do cover it pretty well. Across the middle, around the 10, we're going to have Zacchaeus, who will get the first down to the 4. Now, we have been doing quite a lot of passing while out here. Let's go to the run with Herbert. Has the space, and he can walk into the end zone. The first touchdown of the series, the Virginia's only state challenge, goes to Khalil Herbert. Now we just have to see if our defense can keep things going here. Second half, they've played better, though. Irv Smith does pick up 12 yards. A penalty on Christian Darrisaw, who is someone we could try to trade for, as Vinny Curry, one of our older starters, injured on the play. That's 2 injuries for us in week 1. Hopefully, they're not long-lasting injuries, as we have a 3rd and 5. Irv Smith picks up 11, plus into plus territory. ETN picks up 2, 2nd and 8, 7, leaving 3rd and 1. ETN picks up 4. At least by the way they're moving now, looking like some points on the board. No matter if it's going to be at least a field goal or a touchdown, we will see. A 1st and 10 with an 8-yard rush, getting him down to the 10, 2nd and 2, 5 more yards to the 5, and touchdown, Chris Olave. I think the first points we gave up in the second half, though, so third quarter was much better for this defense, though we still find ourselves down 3 scores. Needing to move the ball quickly as we have about 6 minutes left here in the game. We've been moving rather quickly in this one. 3rd and 1, throw away. And while 3 scores is still a lot to come back from, we got to try it as Herbert finds some space. A nice little juke there, but didn't quite end up getting as big of a juke as I was hoping to break away from the incoming defender. They have a single high safety. Again, Zacchaeus deep would be nice. This team also does not have a lot of speed. I don't know if I mentioned that or not. Honestly, Geno Smith is about just as fast as he slides down as about most, all but one, I think, of our receivers. I think they're around like 89 speed, and Geno, I think, is 84, so it's pretty close. We'll see how it affects the team as Geno has to step up and will get dropped. So it does not appear like the line is really holding up much either, which is a concern considering we thought that was going to be one of the better parts of this team. To the outside, Pascal can't hold on. Well, we'll let the field goal unit head out, and it's a sack apparently as we went for it. I wanted the field goal there. That would have made it a 14-point game. Instead, they take over into plus territory. About 2.5 minutes left. I think this one is pretty much all but said and done, as we'll just go ahead and move on a little bit quicker here. 3rd and 2, they pick up the first down, and that will do it. Game 1 against a very well-built Arizona Cardinals team will be a loss. And it looks like the struggles from week 1 have continued as we open the season 0-3. We lost to the Broncos 21-14, and then against the Bills 28-7. In the Broncos game, Geno Smith just threw for slightly over 150, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. He was sacked twice, completed only 61% of his throws. Running game looked like it was fairly solid, 3.5 yards a carry for Herbert, 4.1 for Blackshear. Geno had a couple runs, and Smallwood even got out there for 1 carry, 1 yard, and a touchdown. In the receiving game, Wicks was the main guy apparently, 4 catches, 45 yards. Behind him, Pascal, 5 catches, 44. But it was Zacchaeus with the touchdown reception. Over on defense, Kaiser White led us in tackles with 8. We did have a fair few amount of tackles for a loss, 1 each for White, Thornhill, Urban, Brown, and Green. Though we are not getting any sacks, and we did not force any turnovers. And on top of that, Joey Sly also missed one of his field goals, or his only field goal. And against the Bills, we did really well in the first and fourth quarter defensively, but the second and third, we gave up 14 points in each. Meanwhile, our offense only managed to score once in the second quarter. In this game, once again, Geno Smith, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, this time a little over 200 yards, 62% completion, sacked 5 times though. So that definitely not very good. Herbert not as efficient in this game, 3.1, and then Geno Smith ran the ball 6 times, 4.3 yards a carry. Receiving wise, Zacchaeus was the main guy, 5 catches, 82 yards. Pascal seems to be very consistent around that 50. Wicks had a touchdown, but then not much else for anyone else. Now in this one, we were missing our starter left tackle in Brown, so Kajus did have to start, and he was the one that gave up the majority of the sacks. On defense, Kaiser White led us in 10 tackles, and he actually earned the NFC Defensive Player of the Week. On top of that, a lot more tackles for loss in this one. 2 for Settle, 2 for Brown, and then 1 for Diablo, Edmonds, Urban, and Curry. And we did finally get a sack, was to Kaiser White, who did have the one and only interception as well. And this time, Sly did not miss any field goals. He also didn't attempt any. And that leaves us at week 4, which will be the last game we'll go through today. Our first game against a division rival, and they've started off 1-2. So if we could get the win in this one, we could at least end this episode not bottom of the division. Now, as we get into this one, we are going to get through the first quarter, maybe even the second, kind of see how it goes. And up to now, it's 7-0, so not awful. Can we just manage to score at all? That seems to be the problem, as the Eagles will end up making it 14-0. Let's get on through the third quarter, and we'll watch a little bit here of the fourth quarter, as it's still now a 3-score game, and the offense has yet to get anything on the board. So let's slow things down here. See if our defense can get the stop and not when we give up 12 yards on 3rd and 6 to Kelsey. We then get a tackle for a loss, allow 10, 3rd and 3, we allow Russell Wilson to scramble for the first down. If they get inside the 25, we'll jump in as long as it's like a fresh set of downs, that is. 2nd and 7, they pick up 5. They get this first down? No. So defense at least bows up a little bit, though it's still a 24-0 game. So we'll at least jump in, watch another possession here of offense, and see if we can get something done. And it'll start from shotgun, as we're going to have 2 receivers down to the bottom, 2 tight ends up top. Geno sitting in the pocket, across the middle, has a wide open man, will be a catch. Remember, I think it said 82, assuming that's one of our tight ends that I've yet to see actually get a catch until then. So there's that. 3 up top, 1 down to the bottom, still sitting in shotgun. Geno all the way up top and diving, but just too far out in front. 12 of 22 for Geno on the day. Definitely not looking all too good. As we have a 3rd and 3, 2 spread either side. Some sort of hot route or audible being made as Geno swings it up top and inaccurate once again. So this possession goes nowhere. Though we may have a chance to keep it going as we have a 4th and 3. We hand it off, but our offensive lineman nearly decides to make the tackle by himself in the backfield. And yes, this drive goes absolutely nowhere. So as we return to the quicker sim menu, a 3rd and 4, defense forces the throwaway. And then a penalty backs them up, so a 4th and 14, and they do still make the field goal. Make it 27-0. We'll see if we could score on this point, and then after, I do think we need to take a quick look. Sack from Jadeveon Clowney. Wow, stumbling around there, but Pascal shows up 27 yards. Like to see that a bit more. But we'll definitely take a look at just the overall NFL roster and see what options we may have in terms of trades that we might need to do next episode. Though we are driving here, a knockaway by Willie Gay, 2nd and 10. Down inside the red zone, why not jump in? See if we could at least watch one more touchdown here as again we come out with that 2 tight end down to the bottom, 2 receivers up top. As we go up top to Pascal, breaks the tackle and in. Well, at least we were able to watch 2 touchdowns. Maybe we'll see if we can make another one late. But for now, Pascal finally gets us on the board. But with about 45 seconds and now counting, definitely not going to be anything coming of it. So it's still going to be a loss, but at least a little bit of some morale for the future as we do finally get on the board. But definite changes need to take place because right now this offense is struggling to score and the defense could be doing a little bit better. And as we round out this episode, I did want to take a little bit of time to take a look at possible trades we can maybe make next episode, just to see what kind of additions we can make to get things rolling. And not a trade we can make because we already have them, but I did want to say that we actually have the highest rated available player. So the highest potential guy that we could have had with some morale taking down that overall is 88 Tremaine Edmonds. Also, the best rated quarterback is Geno Smith. And also Herbert is the highest rated running back. Now, unless I missed someone, Zacchaeus is also the highest rated receiver. So in terms of offensive skill positions, we're really just, we don't have a lot of options. When it comes to the offensive line, though, I am curious as to where they have it. And he's only an 84 with a current regression, at least to the overall. Maybe a morale hitting him here. Yeah, -1 for the morale. Now, if we did want to trade for Christian Darrisaw to help try to solidify our offensive line, he's one of the best tackles, personal opinion at least, in the NFL currently. And I mean, the ratings are good. If we wanted to make a trade to help solidify the offense, what would they be wanting in return? And there's actually no trades for at least what we could offer that they'd be interested in. Over on the defensive side, the best possible player I've been able to find so far for us to make a trade is for Kendall Fuller, though he's 28 years old, but the ratings all still look really good, and we've struggled a little bit in coverage, as we've seen. So the Bears, who have Fuller, would they be interested for anything? No. So these trades are looking kind of difficult. And those are really the only trades that really cropped up. So there's just not a lot of top end talent right now coming out of the Virginias, and a lot of the guys are getting on the older side. So what we might have to do for next episode is probably get through most likely the entirety of the rest of the season, but change the focus to a lot of the young guys. Try to develop some of the talent that is there to hopefully by the time that the older guys are retiring, we have someone to take over. Also, I do believe a custom playbook will be in order for this series, focusing more on Herbert. I believe that it would probably be very similar to the Florida State only challenge we did on Madden 23, where it was a run focused with some pop passes, play action, some short medium, occasionally a deep, but not very often. But fourth and foremost, the run game, probably running about 60-65% of the plays and then sprinkling some passes here and there. That might be the best way to have us have much success moving forward. And even we could include some of the read option in there. I mean, Geno could run a little bit as well as Malik Willis. So we have some options there. I think that's the plan to move forward. Let me know your guys' thoughts. Maybe some lower overall guys that we could make trades for that aren't on the roster. Maybe some rookie guys that I didn't see or that I missed out on. Let me know what you guys want to see with that, with trade scenarios, and we'll keep an closer eye on the draft as we get closer to that three-quarter part of this season, where we can make some decent assumptions as to what those players are going to be like and if they can make some instant impacts. So that's the plan moving forward. To make sure you don't miss out on that, hit that bear icon in the bottom right or scroll down and hit the actual subscription button. And also make sure you tick that bell icon so you're notified of when these videos go live. This series is going to be posted every Wednesday and Saturday. And then on Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday, we have our Rams. If you missed the announcement yesterday, we have our Rams traditional franchise that we'll be having 4 days a week. And later down the line, probably after 1 or 2 seasons, we might end up bringing back FIFA. We'll see what we end up doing with that. But for now, it's Madden 24 and only Madden 24. So I hope you all enjoy. And until next time, see you guys later. Bye.
How it's supposed to feel.